Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I am doing a followers pick my makeup. So I went over on my Instagram and on my story I created polls for every single makeup product. So I did primers, foundations, concealers, palettes, everything to create a full face. And this is the look that I came up with. I really like the way that this turned out. Also, I totally look like I'm naked, and I am totally not. I definitely have a shirt on. But anyways, so I also have super pink hair now. Last video I was trying to get it to be this color, and now it is finally coming through. So I really like it. I also like that you guys picked the palette that you picked because I could create a look that really went with my hair and tied everything together. So I really hope that you guys are excited about this video. If you are, then make sure to just go ahead and keep on watching. Okay, so I've already washed my face and used moisturizer and stuff off camera, but to start off for the look, I wanted to give you guys the options to pick basically everything on my face. So I asked you guys if you'd like to see the Marc Jacobs Coconut Primer or the Timeless Smoothing Primer, which you guys know this is my everyday holy grail primer, and you guys went with this, so I love that. I am just going to go ahead and smooth this over my pores. I really like to press this in. I feel like if you press, it literally blurs everything. Every single pore or fine line or anything on your face is gone if you use this. This is honestly the only smoothing primer that I've ever used that I feel actually does exactly what it says. The Milk Makeup one, the blur stick and stuff, it's okay, but that is the best, literally. So then for foundation, I gave you guys the option of choosing between the Born This Way foundation or the Peach Perfect foundation. And the Born This Way foundation won by 63%. So I'm really happy about that. I really like this foundation, especially if I'm going to be doing just this primer. I would not want to go in with the Peach Perfect primer just because it is so matte. If I was going to be doing that, I would really hope that you guys would have picked the Marc Jacobs one. But for this foundation, this primer works really well. So I'm going to blend all of that out with the JH03 brush. And I'm just going to blend that out across the face. Where the areas where I put that primer down, I don't really like to drag. I like to kind of stipple it. And just to make sure that we don't move around that primer or bring up any of that out of our pores that we just pressed in. This isn't the most full coverage foundation, but the finish on it is so pretty that I don't even care. I'll build it up if I really want full coverage, but just the way that it makes your skin look, you can kind of see it. Literally your skin glows whenever you have this on. I know so many YouTubers say this is their holy grail foundation, and I can understand why. My first ever high-end foundation was the Naked Skin, I think, and I loved that. But once I ran out of my first bottle of that, I wanted to try something different. So I got this, and I think that was 4 years ago now, or at least 3 years ago, and now I still use this all the time. Now that I've got that blended out, I'm just going to pick up my beauty blender and just kind of stamp over all of that just to make sure that we're not left with any brush strokes or anything on the face. You guys have seen time and time again that I always use my Morphe Y6 to blend out my foundation. But ever since I got the Jaclyn Hill brush set, I've been using the JH03, which they're totally different. This is a little bit more rounded and a little bit more stiff. And the Y6 is a little bit more flimsy, and it's obviously out more. But I really like this for blending out my foundation. So for concealer, I gave you guys the option of choosing between the Cover FX Power Play Concealer and the ColourPop No Filter Concealer. And the ColourPop No Filter Concealer won by 54%. So I'm just going to pick that up and put that underneath the eyes. I like this concealer. I do like the Power Play Concealer a little bit more just because it's a little bit more full coverage, and the finish on it, I like it just a little bit more. But I do think that this concealer is good. Since I first have gotten it, I've used it a few more times. So once I've got that all blended out, I'm going to go ahead and move on to powders. So I had you guys choose between the Huda Beauty powder and the Laura Mercier powder. And the Laura Mercier powder won by 63%. So I'm just going to go ahead and bake underneath the eyes with that. I'm honestly surprised that this powder won just because it is a little bit older. People aren't using it as much as they used to, and the Huda Beauty powder is so good. But it's always nice to be able to go back to products that you know that you love. So I don't mind using this powder. And I'm just going to kind of press this all over the whole face also. And then I'm just taking the JH02 brush and just kind of setting the rest of the face with that same Laura Mercier powder. So then for bronzer, I asked you guys if you'd like me to use the NARS Orgasm palette or the Too Faced Natural Face palette, and the Too Faced Natural Face palette won by 59%. So I am just going to go ahead and bronze up the face with this. I'm going to mix together the shades Tropic Like It's Hot and Sunny Honey, which are the two bronzers in this palette, on my Morphe Y5 and bronze up the face with that. This palette really has been like my holy grail face palette for 2018. I am going to be filming a beauty favorites video either today or tomorrow and getting it up later this week. Today is Sunday, so New Year's Eve is tomorrow. So I definitely want to get that up for you as soon as possible. Even if it's like on the 1st, I still feel like you guys would watch it. But this has been like my holy grail face palette. I think that this came out in the summer. I don't know the exact time, but it came out in the summer of this year. And I ordered it whenever it first launched. Like, this whole collection was really pretty. So I ordered the face palette and I've been using it literally since I got it. And then for contour, I asked you guys if you'd like to see the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette or the Morphe 8W palette. And I actually got 50-50 votes on this. And I've been waiting to see if anybody else would vote. And they're still 50-50. I have like 20 votes for each. So I'm actually just going to go in with the Kat Von D palette. That's my favorite contour palette ever. You guys know this. So it's just going to be what I'm going to use today. So I'm going to pick up this really ashy tone right here with my JH07 brush and contour the cheeks and the nose. This was my holy grail contour palette for this year also. I think I got this in February of like 2017 and I used the whole palette, and I actually just had to repurchase a new one this year because I loved it so much. I used the like 2 lighter highlight shades under my eyes all the time, and then I used the 2 lighter like contour shades all the time, and so I ran through those and had to buy a new one. And I don't normally repurchase products. If I run out of something, then I just buy something different. And so the fact that I bought this again, that shows how much I really love this. So then for blush, I asked you guys if you'd like to see the Morphe blush palette or the NARS Orgasm palette, and the Morphe blush palette actually won. So that makes me really happy because I have lots of shades to choose from, because I kind of have an idea of what I'm going to be doing on the eyes already. So I don't want to go in with like a blush that doesn't go with the eyes. So I'm actually going to take the shade MUA, which is right here, and I'm going to pick that up on my JH04 brush and blush up the cheeks. All the blushes in this palette are so pigmented and they are so pretty. I think I've talked about this in a past video, but I love this palette so much. This has like an exact dupe for NARS Orgasm in it, and the entire palette costs less than just the single NARS Orgasm blush. So this is an awesome palette, and then some of these shades in here can be used as highlighters also, so it's really convenient for traveling. So then for highlight, I asked you guys if you'd like to see the ColourPop highlighter in the shade Flexitarian or the Laura Lee Los Angeles highlighter in Warm and Toasty, and the ColourPop highlighter actually won. So I do really like this highlight. I think I told you guys this was my favorite product that I used in my video that I tested out all ColourPop products. But I was kind of hoping that the Laura Lee highlighter would win just because I do love that and I don't use it as much as I should. But this is an awesome highlighter too. So I'm just going to pick that up on my JH09 brush and I'm going to start highlighting the face. As you guys can see, this is like literally a blinding highlight. I honestly really do like sparkly highlights. I know that a lot of people don't. They just like it to look like wet. But I think especially if you're doing like a glam look, to have like glitter in your highlight looks so good. So I really do love this highlighter. And I'm just going to take my blush brush and kind of run underneath where the highlighter and the blush mix together, just so that we don't have like a harsh line. So then for brows, I asked you guys if you want to see the like Anastasia brows or ColourPop brows, and Anastasia won by 71%, so that makes me really happy. I love Anastasia brow products. So I am just going to use the Anastasia Brow Wiz in chocolate and the Anastasia clear brow gel. So I've never really shown you guys how I do my brows, so I just thought that I would do it today since you guys did pick these products. So I do usually just line straight underneath the brow like this, and then I just kind of brush through it to start, and then I start filling in on the top. So I don't have much of an arch, especially on this side. This side has a little bit more, so I kind of go over where my natural brow is at and just kind of give myself an arch, just because I do like that more like arched look. And then I go a little bit harder at the tail of the brow just so that we have that really like sharp look. And then I just take the tip of the pencil and just kind of fill in little brush strokes at the front of the brow. And then I just take my Anastasia clear brow gel and just kind of run over the brows. So I am going to keep you guys pulled in just a little bit closer than before, just because we are going to move on to the eyes. So for eyes, I gave you guys the option of the Laura Lee Nudie Patootie palette or the Jaclyn Hill Bling Boss palette. And the Bling Boss palette won by 68%, which I'm honestly really happy that that palette won. But this is like my total like color scheme. I love this palette so much. I'm super excited to be playing with this today. So to start out, I'm going to be using the JH30 brush, and I'm going to be picking up the shade Hush Hush, which is right here. And I'm just going to kind of blend that up almost all the way to the brow bone actually. And I didn't set down the lids with any powder or anything today, so I just want to make sure that I get all those creases out before I started to blend the shadow on top of it. I am really wanting to do another like winged out liner look, so I really wish that I would have done my shadow first today, but I didn't, so I'm just going to have to be a little bit more careful with where I place these shadows at. I think that like a really big fluffy brush like this is honestly really good for applying like your first transition shade. I never used this kind of brush before until I got this brush collection, just because I'll do like a fluffy brush, but not something this big. This is usually something I would do for like highlighter, not for eyeshadow. But now that I've like actually used it and gotten to play with it a little bit more, I really like the way that it blends out your transition shades and just kind of gives you a light wash of color first without like going in like super dark with your first shade. So off camera, I've been trying a new technique for eyeshadow, like stamping down my like the first like darkest shade and then blending it out like from like the medium shade to like the lightest shade. And I really like the way that it looks, but it does take a little bit longer and some more work to blend everything out. So I haven't been doing it on camera just because it does take so long. But if you guys would like to see that technique, let me know down below, because that's what I really like to do now. But I just don't want to make my videos too long to where you guys aren't going to want to finish watching them. So next I'm going to take the JH32 brush, which is just a little bit smaller of a brush, and I'm going to take the shade right here called Sparks, and I'm just going to start blending that a little bit lower than how we just blended Hush Hush. So, you guys have probably noticed my hair is like rose gold. I've been wanting to do my blonde ombre rose gold for a while now, but I've just been a little bit too scared. But I finally did it, and I really like the way that it turns out. I've just been using like a color wash on it, and I really like the way that it looks. So I'm really glad that I got this palette also, just because I wanted to do something that was like pink so I could have it match like my hair. So I really want to focus these shadows in like a cat eye shape. And then now that I've got that on, I'm going to go back in with the JH30 and Hush Hush and blend over the top of that. I do want the shadow to be really darkly packed on, but I don't want to do too much at once. So I'm kind of just going back and forth between those two brushes and the two shades to make sure that everything is like perfectly placed. And then I'm going to take the shade Rockstar right here on my JH33 brush and pack that on a little bit lower. So as you're packing it on, it is probably going to look a little bit crazy, but then we're going to go back through and blend everything out. But just for the most pigment, I do feel like packing it on first really does like pack a punch with all the pigment on it. As you can see, the shade is going on like so beautifully. And then I'm going to go back in with my JH32 brush and pick up Sparks again and just kind of blend out the shade Rockstar. I don't want to blend it too far down just because I do want to keep most of the pigment, and blending it out does kind of make you lose a little bit of that pigment that you just packed on. So making sure that you're sticking just to like the very top edge does help to keep everything like really packed on how you want it. So now that I've got that on, I'm going to go in with my JH33 brush again and pick up the shade Mystic right here. And I'm going to pack that on right on the outer V. This is really similar to the shade Rockstar that we just packed on, but it's a little bit darker, so it's just going to give you an even like smokier look. And then I'm going to pick up the JH30 brush one more time with the shade Hush Hush and just blend over that. So I'm really just going back and forth between all three of those shades and all three of the brushes that we've been using, just to make sure that everything is really blended out. And then I'm going to pick up this brush and go ahead and cut my crease. So I think I'm just going to stick to probably like a half cut crease today. I don't know if it's just me, but I always feel like I can't talk whenever I'm like cutting my crease, just because it does take like so much concentration to make it perfect. So once I've got that on, I am going to take my JH41 brush, which is the same shape, it's just a little bit softer bristles, and I'm going to pick up the shade Bling Bling, which is right here, and then I'm going to spray it with a little bit of my Morphe Prep and Set. And I'm not impressed. Okay, let me see if I can pick it up with my finger. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit better. With my nails, it's a little bit hard to get right against the cut crease. I'm actually going to pick up a little bit of Glitz and Glam, which is a little bit darker of a shade, and kind of pack that over the top of it also. I'm just going to have to go back through with a smaller brush to clean up the cut crease. It's just too hard. The brush is not picking up the shimmer shades like I'd like it to. So I've got to use my finger, but I can't get right against the like straight line with my nails. Okay, so then I'm going to take my JH33 brush again and pick up Mystic again and just kind of pack it on across the outer edge of the glitter. So now I'm going to pick up the JH40 brush and pick up the shade Rockstar, which is this brighter purple that we had already used. And I'm just really going to line across the top of where we cut the crease. This is going to help to keep that really sharp line, but not draw away from the glitter that we just put down. We just really lost that cut crease having to use a finger to apply that glitter shade. So of course I want to be super extra, so I'm going to take this Urban Decay Liquid Moon Dust shadow, and this is in the shade Chemtrail, and I'm just going to kind of line across the top of the cut crease. And then blend over that edge with Mystic and Rockstar one more time. Now that I've got that on, I'm going to take my Morphe M431 and pick up the shade Rockstar right here and run it across the lower lash line. And I'm really blending this out. I don't want like that super harsh line of purple. I do want it to be nice and blended. And then I'm actually going to take the JH42 brush and pick up the shade Bling Bling again. And I'm going to spray it with a little bit of Morphe Prep and Set. And I'm going to pop this on the inner corner. Using this as like an all over lid shade was definitely not my favorite but as like an inner corner highlight, that looks really pretty because it's not like super pigmented, but just using it to highlight, it looks really good. So I'm going to do the same to the other eye off camera, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now that I got the eye look all done, I'm going to pick up the shade right here in the Kat Von D palette on my Morphe sponge and just take the flat edge and just kind of clean up that line because I do want it to be really sharp. This is a trick that I really like to do. It just really does kind of like makes your liner, I guess like winged out shadow in this case, look really sharp and really good. So once I've got that on, I actually asked you guys what liner you would like me to use too. I said you want to see a liquid liner or a gel liner, and a liquid liner won by 73%, which I'm very thankful for because I'm going to be putting on lashes. So I feel like you can really get into your inner corner with a liquid liner. So I'm just going to be using the Kat Von D ink liner, and I'm just going to really get into the inner corner, focus it on the inner corner so that it blends your liner and like your look blends in with your lashes. But I'm just going to do like a really tiny line across the lid also. So now that I've got my liner on, I asked you guys what mascara you'd want me to use, and I gave you the option between the Urban Decay Troublemaker and the Too Faced Better Than Sex, and Too Faced won by 76%. So I am going to go ahead and put on a little bit of mascara on the upper lashes, and then go ahead and put mascara on the bottom lashes. I just want to do enough on the top to where it blends in with my falsies, but on the bottom I want to definitely put on a lot of mascara. So for lips, I asked you guys if you'd want me to use Clove by Kylie, which is one of my favorites, or Uncuffed by Fenty, which is also one of my favorites. And Uncuffed won by 56%, which makes me super happy just because this does go really well with the look. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop this on the lips. Okay, y'all, so this is the way that this look turned out. I really like it. This was my first time using the Jaclyn Hill, the Bling Boss palette from her Vault collection, and I really liked it. I'm super glad that you guys picked this because it was either this or the Laura Lee Nudie Patootie, which I love that palette so much, but I've used that 1,000,001 times. So I was really happy to get to try something different. I am obsessed with the way that this look turned out. I think that it really complements with the lips and the eyes. Everything looks really good. So I really hope that you guys liked it. I hope you liked the way that I used the products that you guys picked. If you did, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe down below. I'll see you guys back in my next video. Bye guys, thanks so much for watching.